I am someone who is human. I've all my life tried to do great work for people. I used to volunteer, donate, and just generally try to help anybody who needed my help. And so that's who I am. If anyone wants to believe otherwise, that's their choice, but I'm just somebody who's trying to do his best to be a good person.
Robert Tellis on trial in Las Vegas for the murder of the investigative reporter who investigated him and published articles that were very damaging to Robert Tellis. Robert Tellis was in office at the time as the public administrator of Clark County. He was then voted out of office. And then 3 months later, Jeff Gehrman, the investigative reporter, was stabbed to death outside of his home, and prosecutors say it's Robert Tellis. Now, Tellis has been telling us that he's going to testify. That's what we're hearing from the defense team. So I wanted to play a little bit of Robert Tellis trying to convince people to vote in his favor, just like he would want the jury to vote in his favor. This is what he said to the voters of Clark County, Nevada.
Hello, I'm Rob Tellis, and I'm your Clark County Public Administrator. A few years ago, when I started my first term, I found a disturbing situation at the office. Unfortunately, I found that there were cases that weren't being closed and hadn't been closed for years. I also found that checks to families were waiting to go out so long that the checks went stale before the families could get them. Tragically, there were even situations where the family members died before they could receive their own checks. But I'm very happy to say that we've turned that all around under my leadership. My staff and I have increased our customer service levels. We are now closing cases, and we are also making sure that checks get in the hands of families even faster. And we do it for you. I'd like to ask you for your help now. I'd like to ask you to please be sure to vote for me in this year's election. Please be sure to tell your friends and family about it. This is an important race, and I need your help. I'm Rob Tellis, and I'm running for Clark County Public Administrator. Thank you. I am Rob Tellis, and I approve this message.
All right, let's bring back in our think tank. Still with us, Al Wunsch, Darnell Crossland, and Jennifer Brandt. So what did you think? I'm trying to understand why we were getting that side view of him. Anyway, okay. So, Jennifer, there he is making his plea to the Clark County voters. Do you think he'll convince more members of the jury than more members of Clark County to re-elect him?
I don't think so, Vinny. I mean, he did lose the last election, so I'm not so sure he's that convincing. But he is a politician, you know, and he has a lot of practice wanting to and trying to convince people to do things. So, you know, I expect to be... here's some interesting testimony from him, and I expect that he will strongly suggest that he was not involved in this at all and had no axe to grind with the victim in this case.
Al, I have more video of him trying to convince someone to do something. Here he's trying to convince police not to arrest him in a domestic violence call. Take a listen.
You just want to take me down because I'm a public official. I did not touch anybody. I haven't hurt anybody. I am just being approached, and like, you guys just want to take me down because I'm a public official. That's it. I'm a public official.
I'm sure your supervisors will love to see this bloody damage when they see it.
I'm a public official.
He's a public official.
Yes. So that's always a smart move when you're intoxicated to start throwing out authority that you don't have regarding the fact that you're the public advocate or whatever the situation is on that. Because I know the police are not that impressed with something along those lines. And the slurring should have definitely given the police a indication that this is a man that was probably guilty of what he was being arrested for. It's just horrendous, a horrendous situation. It's a terrible name for lawyers. It's a terrible name for public officials. And anyone that goes out there with that kind of, you know, how dare you, do you know who I am? I mean, Darnell tries that all the time, and he still gets arrested. So, you know.
Darnell, so I've got another example here for you, Darnell. This is Rob Tellis trying to convince a reporter from Scripps News Las Vegas and all their viewers what really happened here. So this might be what he says on the stand. Let's take a look.
Regarding what I've told you about the police misconduct. From the very beginning to the very end, there was misconduct. There's perjury, using illegal methods of surveillance, illegally holding me at a police station while they supposedly search my house. And I say supposedly because when I cannot personally watch that they're searching, I don't know when that supposed evidence that they've got, if it was there before or if it got there when they started their search, because they decided to illegally hold me at a police station.
Darnell, do you think he was proctored?
No. And I have all the notes on here. First of all, I don't get arrested for who I tell people I am. Like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, I get arrested because of who I am, fighting for the people. Secondly, let me just talk about his commercial. His commercial sounds like a Valtrex commercial. And I was waiting for the part where they say the side effects are disorientation, waste of time, and a guilty verdict after watching a politician on trial. Now, the worst thing you're going to have before you is when you have a guy sitting on the other side of a glass when he's talking to his lawyer and telling the lawyer about supposed evidence and all the stuff. Right there, I start to lose it. And I tell my clients, listen, if you're going to start doing this lawyer thing, we're going to have a problem. So all I need from you is the facts, and I'll apply the facts to the law. But this guy seems like he's going to go out there and try to tell his jury what the law is, be his own lawyer as we see, and it's not going to end well. That's what I see with this guy.
There's been a lot of other evidence in this case, video evidence, and it seems that the only defense he would have would be to say that this stuff was planted because the incriminating evidence was found in his house, and he's basically conceding that in the interview with Scripps News Las Vegas, Jennifer. So I guess he's got to get up there and say he's the victim of a conspiracy.
He's going to say that he was framed. The police are after him. He's a public official trying to do good for the people, and the police are corrupt, and they're after him, and people were trying to frame him and bring him down, and all he is a good guy out there fighting for all of us, making sure people get their checks and all of that. So, yeah, I think he is going to, he believes that he can convince people to do things just by virtue of him being a politician and seeing those commercials. So I think he's going to do that. What else can he do? They found his DNA.
He could cry. He's crying right now. Do you think he'll show?
Well, he may cry. He may cry. He may show emotion. I think he'll do anything he can to try to, defend himself and try to get out of these charges.
Al, is there any chance he gets cold feet and decides not to testify?
There's a ton of chance that that's going to happen. But, I mean, because he's got a legal team that's going to be saying to him, this is not a smart move. You're not a type of person that we can trust up there. And just like Darnell said, he's going to get up there and what I believe he compared himself to Malcolm X-Lax? Was that the person that he said that Darnell compared himself to? But Darnell will put his head next to his head, and the two of them will make an ass of themselves at some point in time.
Darnell, I'll give you the final word here. You have about 30 seconds.
My final word would be that, this is not a campaign for office. This is a campaign for his life, and he should listen to his lawyers. And if Al's one of his lawyers, he should probably represent himself.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Some bad blood tonight, Jennifer, right? I mean, this is...
I have a scream.
Out of it. I am staying out of it.
That's the Darnell speech. I have a scream.
All right. Al Wunsch III, Darnell Crossland, and Jennifer Brandt, thank you all so much. Great to have you on. We'll have you again. When we come back, I will reveal